Hey friends, it's Rick here on 29 July. Just came back from a great workout. So now I'm going to talk about, something that will affect us all, or most of us someday, and that's old age, getting older. And why, from a Christian perspective, getting old is not a bad thing. Now, let me put a disclaimer out there. Nobody wants to get old. We'd all like to stay young and vibrant if we could, as long as we can. That's why we exercise, and try to take care of ourselves as much as we can. Some of us, some people don't, some people do. Try to eat proper and stay away from excessive drinking and smoking and things like that to try to keep ourselves vibrant. But with that said, all of us, if we live long enough, are going to get old. But it's not a bad thing. Now, society doesn't think of it as that way. Society, especially our society here in the States, have always been about staying youthful, which I think is actually a problem. I think we're too obsessed with that in the society. And especially affects women. That's why you see all the makeup is supposed to look like they're 25 when they're 45. That's ridiculous. There's no reason for that. None. I mean, when you're young, you don't think of growing old as something that's, in any way, shape, or form good. Basically, when you're young, you don't even think about it. You just live every day and you're young and you don't conceptualize a lot of times getting old. Even though you see older people, you just never really consider it's going to happen to you. You have all your friends. Most people when you're young are alive with you. You haven't seen people as much pass on because they're all your age. Your parents are still probably alive. So you kind of feel invincible. But as you get older, you start seeing people pass on, people getting sick, different things happening. And you start to see, the good thing about getting old is that you start to see life the way it should be. Now, there's nothing wrong with our ambitions when we're young. That's part of being young. And of course, when you look your best and you feel your best, sometimes we tend to seek goals that are temporary and not very deep. Physical appearance tends to be much more important when you're dealing with somebody, and then materialism, when we deal with people and different things like that seem to be very important to us when we're young. When you get older and you start to realize that life is, you start to realize that your end of your life is not as long in the future as you may think it, and that any day you start to realize you're not invincible, and no day is guaranteed, then you start to realize the importance of life. See, getting older, the good thing about getting older is all the insecurities of youth that you have when you're young, trying to compare yourself to somebody else, trying to be as handsome as this one, as pretty as that one, as successful as this one, and get the next car like your buddy does, and all that stuff. When you get older, you start to realize that you can put that, you're beyond that. That's a good thing. And you look at the younger people trying to do that. And you kind of snicker a little and you say, yeah, I'm beyond that. I don't have to worry about trying to compete and trying to impress this one or that one. No, you shouldn't be doing that. If you're married, some people are divorced. If you're married, widowed, whatever. But you should be settled into who you are. Unfortunately, some people are not. They continue as they get older to live their lives, and they haven't grown up, always trying to do the same things when they're young. And that can lead to depression, anxiety, confusion. Because let's put it this way. I don't care who you are, how much money you have, how many possessions you have, how beautiful, pretty, handsome, whatever you are. If you live long enough, all right, old age will get you 100% of the time. Yes, some of us take care of ourselves a little more than others. I'm 59 years old, and I'm in good shape for my age, but I'm still getting old. I'm not the same as I was 10 years ago, and I can tell that. And I won't be the same 10 years from now, but I do the best I can for my age. I don't compare myself to 30-year-olds at the gym or 25-year-olds. I do the best I can for my age. But I realize that time is catching up to me. It's funny, when you get older, you realize in the last 15 years or so, especially the last 10 years, I've started to realize things in the realities of what's important that I didn't realize when I was young. And I like that. It's a liberated feeling. It's actually very good. You're freed from all the nonsense that you compete for when you're young. You start to realize the focus, what life's really about. See, a lot of people, if you're a person that just tries to constantly fight against time and the realities of what's going to happen, we're all going to get old, you're going to lose. I hate to say it. No matter your best, you're going to lose. You may defer it for a while, but you're going to lose. And it really, I feel bad for people, especially women who try to compete themselves with young women. You should never have to do that. You should accept who you are. People are all beautiful in their own way, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It's not to be compared. I want to give you an example. There was a woman, this is about 25 years or so, my wife and I were going to a gym. We were in our 30s then, and we were going to a gym in Salem, New Hampshire, where I lived at the time. And I remember that there was this gentleman, he was in his 40s, and he was dating a woman a little older than him. The woman was like 49 years old. I remember that. She went to the gym. And he was very proud of his girlfriend. Okay? She had a very nice figure. I had to give her credit. She had a figure that could pass for 20 years younger. She took care of herself. And even her face from a distance, you're like, this is like a 49-year-old lady. It looks like a 25-year-old lady. But he went to introduce us to her, my wife and I. And we went up closer, of course. And when you went up to her, you saw her face. She had more makeup than Frankenstein's bride. She was scary looking. Her eyes, she looked like a dead vampire or something. It was scary. She had so much makeup. That's from a distance. It fooled you that it was a younger person, but when you went up close, she would have looked much better without any of that, maybe at the most a little bit. You're a 49-year-old lady. Accept the fact that you are that. You already had a nice figure. You were taking care of yourself. You're right. I can't even say whether she was pretty or not for her age, because you didn't know with all the face paint on. It was so packed on. She looked shocking when you went close, like as if she was been a zombie. It was scary. My wife and I made the comment, you don't need to do that. You're trying to compete yourself with somebody 20 years older than you. That's stupid. You look silly. You don't look natural. Face looks different than the rest of the body. You can take care of your body for a while, but physical manifestations are going to come there. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll give you an example of somebody that we know from the church we go to, the Catholic Church. This is a lady's, my wife and I always make the comment about this lady. And, if I was up in my 80s, this is the type of lady I'd like to be friendly with. I'm not talking about in a sexual manner, because that's not what things are about when you get older. When you start getting 70s, 80s, it's not about that. But I can see myself being friends with that type of lady if I was that old, if I lived that long. This lady was widowed. She's like 82 or 3. She's a thin lady, keeps herself thin. She's older, but she has the most wonderful personality. She's a very attractive lady, not from a physical standpoint, a sexual standpoint. I'm talking from a human standpoint of what she is as a person. She's always laughing. She knows she's older. She even joke about it. But she can move. Her mind and her mindset has made her very vibrant. She's always at the events, always has hello people. It's not over the top either. She's just a wonderful person. Why? Because she's accepted who she is. She's an older person. She's not grumpy. She's not miserable. We see a lot of people that are older like that, but there's a lot that are not. If you want a synopsis of reality of life someday, instead of worrying about all this materialism, go to a senior living. I'm not talking about a nursing home or assisted living. Those are even more extreme. I'm talking just a senior living establishment where my mother lives. You see people from like the late 50s all the way up to like 90s. But you'll see some of couples, some of them divorced, widowed or stuff like that, and they're living in the senior living. Most of them can move around. That's why senior living. It's not assisted living. You can move and do things, drive, whatever. Go there and look at the people that are there. They're all older. That's a reality of life. If you live to 80 years old, which is not uncommon nowadays, Most of your life is middle age, which is considered 35, all the way to old age. Your youth, per se, is a small part of your life. When you look at all this girls in bikinis and all the stuff you see on TV, that's people in their 20s. That's a very short segment of your life, 10 years of your life. Very short. That's not reality. So that's my talk for the day. Getting old can be, and if you're not ready for it and you can't handle the reality of what's happening, you're destined for depression and being a miserable old person. But if you realize that's just another part of the life that God gave us, another cycle of life, and you accept that with the wisdom that comes from it, and you realize you had your youth, now it's time for you to be the mentor to people. Not compete with them when they're 25, 30, but to mentor them and be the example. If you do that, getting older will not be a curse. You'll welcome the next step of your life the Lord has given you. That's my talk for the day. God bless and have a great one.